Hey guys, my name is Rudy, and today we're going to work on designing your first arcade one-up board. As you can see, behind me is a big mess, and I've had this project for a while, and I really want to get this finally finished. At least get the practice board done. So, when I kind of summarize what I went over before, and here's how we get it started. I start off with a piece of scrap wood like this. Now, first thing I did is I removed the original arcade one-up board. This is a Defender board. I drew the lines where I wanted them to be. I drew the outline of this thing to match it perfectly, somewhat perfectly. But the thing is, I want to get my own design. So that's kind of where the tracing ends. The only thing else I did is I went ahead and I drilled the holes in the pattern of the speaker box here. I'm not sure if you can see that. I did the speaker box there on that. Drill the holes in the back like so. And now we're going to kind of put this thing together as we go. So this is our template. Next thing you want to do is figure out what it is that you're actually going to be using, so you can figure out what you're going to need. So my arcade setup is going to be twin speakers. So we put the speakers down here. Second set. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw an outline here, marking the holes that we'll be using. There we go. Okay, so that's our speaker box. We're gonna, now the next thing is, when you're trying to figure out the hole size, grab your template like I have here. Figure out how big the screw hole is and what fits the best. You know, if it's too loose, too tight, I saved myself the trouble and I already got that right here. So we'll resume working on my kitchen step workbench here. So, gonna drill the 4 holes for the speaker. Pretty simple. 1, 2, 3. There's that one. And the other side. I also want to remind you that this is my practice board. I'm just going to see how everything fits. Then what we would do is we'll mount the speaker on here. And actually, I think we can use the same screws that came with it. I'm just going to do 2. One's over here. There's that. And across to the other side. Now I did get longer screws at Lowe's because there is an issue, because the board that I want to use for the control panel is, this is very thin. This is the size I want to use. Okay. Kind of speed things up along. Next thing I did is I figured out that I want to put my joystick. Now I'm recycling the old joystick that came out of the one-up cabinet. You have to kind of figure out your template and what it is. And this is actually pretty easy too. Draw yourself a circle around the diameter of the hole and put in your mark. So 4 holes, 1 big one in the center. Now what I would do here is to gauge the size of what you're working with, so that way you don't cut yourself short, literally speaking. There's 2 ways you can go with it. Let's see here. One is you can actually use one of these. This is obviously the wrong size, but this dip gauge will kind of give you an idea how big you want it. Again, this one's too small for what I need. Next thing is this little kit, Harbor Freight, really cheap. And you just line up the hole that you're looking for. I've already tested this, so My template is here. This thing is here. It's a perfect match. So this goes in like this. Lock it in. Screw it in. You can even get away with hand tightening it. There we go. Okay, my stuff is measured. You can't really screw this up. I'm gonna gauge the center here, and here we go. And this thing came loose a little bit more. There we go. These are not the cleanest. If you can get yourself a laser cutter, it's a little bit easier. That hole is almost too big, but it'll work. So you stick these in like this. I already got my marks. So I'll go ahead and drill those. So 1, 2, 3, that makes 4. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to screw this in. I'm going to make this a little bit easier and not kill the time to actually put this in. This will be the joystick mounted in from the bottom, like this. Everything should work. So, now I have some unique items for this thing. I got a Glens Retro Show Spinner. This predates me. As far as arcades, I really didn't play with these all that much, but it works very well for any steering wheel games as well. So with this one, same thing. You kind of mount the hole that you're looking for, kind of close. This is kind of what I'm looking for. This is a little too tight. Next one up is this one. So same thing here. Now what I did is I went ahead and I drew this stuff out, looked at the designs that I wanted. It's a whole lot easier if you're actually copying an existing arcade machine versus designing your own handle like I'm doing here. Alright. You know what? This thing's dying here, so let me use this one here. Okay, so joystick to my left here. I got the trackball in the center. We'll go with that next, and then the spinner here on the far right side. So again, roughly circle. Make sure this thing is on here tight. And here we go. I said again, rough shots all around. Okay, what's going to happen here is this is going to go from the bottom through. I wanted it kind of a good balance here. I'm going to center this so it stays in there, and then I'm going to plant the lid, the cap, on top, tighten it all in, and that's where we'll go. I'll show you guys that in the next video. So, spinner, check. And also, when I have it lined up, I'm going to drill these little holes in when I have it a little bit more centered. Okay, now comes the fun part. A lot of people have been working on, for games like Centipede, Millipede, the Trackball. Now, you can get some really expensive ones for up to $50. This one is $20. Here are some switch wires. This is more or less a trackball mouse. So it works pretty easily. You wire up the switches right off of this. Like I said, very easy to do work on. Alright, so to do this, I'm going to take a screwdriver and pry underneath this bar right here. If you want to pry underneath that, pop this out. This will come loose. And what you want to do is you want to lay it out to where you want it, like so. Draw your circle, and you can even mark your holes, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Test fit this here, okay. Okay, the current one I have is a little too small, so we're going to unbutton this, pop this out, put the bigger one in, lock it in its place. Okay, hand tighten should be okay. Same thing with this. Lock it in. This is going to be a little tricky since we got the thing in here on the other side. Okay, orange marks the spot. And this is lined up, so off we go. Again, like I said, laser cutter works so much easier, but at the moment I can't do that, so I might redo this board a little bit later. So, to recap, we got our speaker box right here. We got our joystick over here. We got our trackball over here. And we got our spinner over here. Now, the next thing that you're going to work on depends kind of on your choice, what you decide. I'm going to go ahead and recycle these arcade 1-up buttons. I'm not a big fan of these. I like the ones that actually have the big nut that screws on top of this. These kind of snap in. But these will work until I get more funds to continue my project, but I have a bunch of these, so I wanted to use them up. So either way, what you want to do is you want to find how this, I'm going to get a little closer here, how this goes into this. Plenty of room with a big enough lip for so it doesn't fall through. And for me, make sure you get it on the right way. These will be my buttons. Now we're going to test this. I already have pre-marked a couple of different spots here. From here, I want to do the player 1 and coin drops. So we're going to drill those right now. And we'll get back to the rest of them at a later time. So here is I got a feeling that might be a little too big. Let's check it out. Feed it in. It wobbles. I'm going to play with this a little bit more to get a little closer to size. This is not sitting in there. This is okay for the other set that I use, because you can definitely crank down on it. But may not be the best thing for these. So more to come on that. Now let's see. Now, something that you guys may not be using are these little, I call them little aircraft switches. They're actually used for trailer, different spots. I use them for all my turbo buttons and things like that. So with this one, unscrew the top, get the top, figure out where you're going to be, leave yourself plenty of room to open stuff with, and you just nicely, easily draw a circle, drill your small hole with. You can put these very close together. I gotta remember how many I have. I think it's 3. Anyway, again, scratch board. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and drill the rest of these holes in here, and I'll kind of come back to you as we go. Here's kind of what we look like so far. If you guys have any questions or comments as I proceed on building my arcade 1-up modification, let me know. Please like and subscribe. And until then, talk to you later.